Functionally what I'm doing.
Months until I'm customizing my pussy lips. I'm very excited.
For fucking the giggles.
Yo, you ain't getting any candy for it, bitch.
I have one round left. Just enough for myself.
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
It's us.
Your boys.
Your
I
favorite
wasn't
friends.
talking because I was typing to somebody. The podcast. Yeah.
All right, so we're recording this a little bit late, so we're going to get to it quickly. Weeks real quick. I'll start with mine. I played 2 games of note that I want to talk about. I played more than just these 2 games, but these are the 2 new games, so I want to talk about them. Is Garrison Archangel. Garrison Archangel is a mech game. It's very custom Robo-esque, where the weapons have like baked-in moves and behaviors, and you're kind of mix-matching parts for abilities like that. It was built on a system of like 1v1, but it just released and they added in like a campaign mode versus basically like shit stains that suck, like basic bitch robots and things of that nature. And it's fun, but good lord, you can tell that the lock system was made. It's more of like a virtual on style. Like, it does not work with multiple opponents. It's just, the lock system is atrocious when like more than one thing is on the screen, and so I haven't played it that much. But what's there is fairly solid. And yeah, that's that. The other game I played is Stone Shard, which is currently in early access, and this game is awesome. I highly recommend it. I don't know if you've played a lot of I guess they're roguelikes, but it's not how roguelikes came in like the popular
I'm looking it up right now. I'm looking at screenshots.
It's a lot like Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, if you've ever played that game, or
Nope.
a lot of the older type of roguelikes before roguelike just meant that you died and the map would shuffle. But what's really interesting about it is, unlike most roguelikes where you're kind of like in a dungeon or whatever, there's a big open world. And that's really weird for there to be like safe towns. So it's this weird mix of kind of like a Zelda overworld, but then like it goes to Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup, or more popular ones I guess would be like Crypt of the Necro Dancer, like that type of gameplay style roguelikes, and it's really neat. It doesn't have a character creator yet, but it has a good mix of characters to pick from. It has a super brutal tutorial that you have to beat to even save the game, which I like a lot because you could get stuck on the tutorial for like days
Interesting.
before you get to the open world.
It's like some Nier Automata shit.
And but yeah, it's even though it's like early access and it's not finished, I think it's only in like version 0.8 or something. It's really solid, and I highly recommend it. Beyond those games, I saw 2 movies. I saw The Invisible Man, which is a fantastic movie.
Is that new? Is that new one?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The one that came out very recently?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're saying that's good, because if I'm being completely honest with you, I saw the trailers for that movie, and in my head, I just kind of immediately wrote it off as like modern horror schlock. I was like, this probably isn't going to be good. They're going to do Invisible Man shit, but it's going to be all jump scares and fucking modern like
There-
horror
there
movies.
are-
Kind
there
of like
are
how they
some
ruined The
jump
I don't
Grudge.
agree with you on that. I honestly saw the trailers for it. I didn't think it was going to be good.
Kind of like how they ruined The Grudge, you know, like with the fucking modern Grudge remake, and apparently that was trash because it was basically just like the Grudge Conjuring style.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I assumed it was going to be.
Well, yeah. I mean, even the more modern stuff. I'm not a big fan of like jump scares and shit like that. Like I didn't even like the new It movies. But I like this one, and it was just because the acting is really, really good, and honestly, the jump scares are minimal. I haven't seen the trailers; I just saw the movie. There's a couple. I'm not going to pretend that there's not any. But what there's a lot of that is really good are these hanging shots on literally like nothing. And since the movie's like about the Invisible Man, all you're doing is like it puts an anxious tension in you because you're just looking for things to like move or
Yeah.
behave weirdly and stuff. And there's like 2 times it actually happens, and it's just it's pretty solid. And again, the acting really carries it through, and yeah, it's very good. And then the other movie I saw was Underwater, which I have weird feelings about because it's basically like ocean floor
Oh, I remember this movie. I remember
lab.
when trailers came out for.
Yeah, it's like an ocean floor lab thing where like shit goes south, and then they have to like walk across the ocean floor, and there's like monsters and shit.
Does it have the? Oh yeah. This is the movie with the. Is this the girl from Twilight with the one facial expression?
Yes,
Is that who this is? Yeah.
she
Okay.
does a good job, which is weird.
All right. Well, maybe she's improved
Yeah.
from the. Has she learned more than one facial expression?
Yes.
All right, nice.
Her lip
That's
her
an
lip
improvement.
doesn't quiver once this entire movie. It's really weird.
Nice.
But yeah, it's really, really I can't place it because the acting is good. The set design is incredible. Like you get a lot of like Nostromo alien vibes, and like the diving suits look really cool. Like I like it's something like out of a video game, like cool kind of like power armory looking stuff. And but like all of this services what is a fairly like standard beat for beat like horror movie plot, where it's like you follow the characters and they get whittled down and there's the big confrontation type thing. And so it's like there's a lot about this movie I liked a lot, but overall I would say it's just a meh movie, and I wouldn't super recommend it unless you're like jonesing for a sci-fi-ish movie, not even like a horror movie, even though that's what it's built like.
You know what's a really good movie? Just to kind of like interject into your week here really quick, 'cause you're talking about horror movies, and I have no other opportunity to talk about this on the podcast other than right now.
Go ahead.
Have any of you ever seen It Comes at Night?
No, I wanted
That
to
is-
see that.
That is a really good movie that I highly recommend. I don't know if any of you have Amazon Prime, but it's on there, or it was like a few months ago for free. That movie's sick. It's one of those movies where like I feel like I went into it with like kind of a preconceived notion of what it was gonna be, you know, because of the marketing and stuff like that. And you go into it with that kind of misunderstanding of what it's going to be, and it's actually something completely different, which explains why some of the reviews for it were kind of shitty. But it's probably one of the best horror movies I've seen,
Ooh,
like
nice.
modern horror movies, in quite some time. So I recommend that, since you're on the topic of horror movies.
Well, honestly, yeah, that's my week. So, if you want to roll into expanding on that or whatever, I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, that was not my week. That's something I watched like months ago. But you were talking about horror movies, and I was like, I don't know if any of you have seen that, but it's a very big recommend for It Comes at Night. My week is extremely boring and much of the same. It'll be really quick. I worked on some stuff. I got kind of drunk last night, and I watched The Joker for the second time.
Nice. Oh, cripe. I forgot to mention this.
Oh my God, he's fucking interrupting a week again, dude.
Last week I mentioned that I started to read Berserk. I had finished reading Berserk, so I am all caught up, and now I will have to wait years and years for the next chapter. Okay, continue.
All right. Anyway, so I watched Joker last night. Opinion still stands on that. It's a great movie. Second rewatch or first rewatch did not change my opinion on it. What else did I do? I've been playing some Warhammer 2. That's not really exciting to talk about, so I'm not going to talk
totally
about
exciting.
it. It's really not. I also played. I've been getting back into DotA.
Yeah, that's
That's
more
been
exciting.
happening for the last week or so. I've been playing a lot of DotA, getting the suffering back in my blood because any day now,
Battle Pass.
the battle pass is coming. It might even be like 2 days from now, potentially. Who knows? But
Tuesdays. Every Tuesdays, my butthole is clenched, waiting.
every Tuesday, the pain is coming potentially. God, what else have I been doing? Really nothing. My week was extremely unexciting. I'm pretty sure that's literally all that I did. I still have not finished Resident Evil 3. Something else that I haven't done. I don't remember, but whatever. I worked on some shit. I watched the Joker. I played DotA. That's pretty much my fucking week. Pretty unexciting. If I think of something I forgot, I'm sure I'll just interrupt Rob, as Anthony has done.
Yeah, this is
Multiple
the standard.
Like an absolute trash
Yeah,
human.
We just yell at each other and be like, one more thing.
Yeah.
My week was.
Hope it's long.
It's not going to be.
Oh boy.
Was pretty.
Welcome to the Camels, folks. Our weeks are shit, and they take like 10 seconds to explain.
Yeah, it was. I started replaying Digimon Cyber Sleuths because.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I got the Jones in for some Digimon. God, I really want them to make another one and bring it over.
Is that the one where you can like fuck your sister or whatever? Am I thinking of the right?
I don't think you're thinking of the right.
I remember when we used to. I remember when John used to explain it, and he said, "I could have swore he said something about boning your sister in it or." Maybe I'm wrong.
There is the sexy cell phone.
Are you sure it's not that game?
I'll be honest. I walked in and put on my headset, and all I heard was like "bone your sister."
About how when John used to talk about Digimon games, I could have swore he used to say, because I remember we walked into the apartment that one time and he was playing Digimon, and I could have swore he regaled us with a long tale of how you can like kind of fuck your sister, or like you have like a really unsettling relationship with your main character's sister or something.
The question I want to ask is, how does this relate to your week?
I started
He's
playing
talking about
Digimon
Digimon.
again.
Oh, Rob's talking about Digimon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow, you thought it was me, dude? Come on.
I left you were talking.
He comes back and he's like, "Oh, he's talking about sister fucking. It must be his week." What the fuck? Dude?
You don't even have a sister.
Exactly? Hey, you don't know what I'm into. Maybe I fucking fantasize.
Maybe I should like look at your browser history.
Yeah. Don't do that. I assure you, there's no sister fucking, but there is other stuff I'd prefer you don't see.
No one look at Brando's search history right now.
Anyway, go on.
Now
with your
I
Digimon.
do want to see it.
Yeah,
No,
now
you don't.
curious.
Go talk about Digimon fucking. There definitely is not tons and tons of snake fucking porn in my search history. I don't know why you're
Believe
talking.
it.
No,
He got-
not again.
He got 100% converted.
Whole new meaning.
Yeah, I got converted. Heaping piles of snake fucking.
It's one of those things like the most loudest detractors are secretly the ones doing it.
Yep.
I played more.
Be away from the history, because then he goes on the island.
Not going on no island, boy. I ain't no dirty snake fucker.
Make me do it.
I ain't no
played
snake
Mordhau.
fucker, boy.
Played Mordhau and Deep Rock Galactic as it just got its official release update. So very excited, very hyped. Played with my friends on that one. Mordhau, I'm still trash at it. The community is still a dumpster fire, but it's
I
fun.
bet it is.
Honestly, that was the worst part of that game, was the community. I
It's
couldn't
really-
stand it.
It's really funny. I was watching like Oh, maybe it was this week. I don't remember, but I was watching a General Sam video where he was talking about Mordhau, and this was like back when Mordhau had first come out.
Mhm.
And in the video, he makes a joke where he's like, you gotta play it now because in like a couple months, all the tryhards are gonna know exactly what to do, and this game is gonna be unfun because it's gonna be impossible for you to get into because people are just gonna dominate it, like the people that stick with it forever. And the comment section of the video was just like, first it was people you could see that commented like right when he uploaded that video who were like mad about him saying that about the game and like to basically not play it. And then he was like, and then there's more comments that are more recent where it's like he was correct. This game is a trash fire. Like it's just full of people who are dominating and like abusing mechanics and shit. So from the outside looking in, that was funny because I've never touched Mordhau a day in my life.
It's fun, but yeah, community sucks.
Oh, but yeah, the community is you get some pretty interesting people on there. I can honestly say I have ran into some conversations there that I never want to even
Never want to bring them
There's-
up on this
There's
podcast.
there's one aspect of that game that I think the community is great at, and that's respecting the loot player.
yes. You would never attack a loot player.
I'm sure someone does.
Oh, okay.
And then the community on both sides gang rape that guy.
Yeah, I've never seen one person do it. I've never seen it in all the times I've played. I've seen a guy with a loot literally just go in the mass of everyone attacking, and then everyone just kind of stops, backs up, goes around him, and goes back to fighting.
It's like the only sense of honor in that game.
That's pretty shocking, honestly.
Because everyone has attacked the loot player once and then immediately been killed by everyone, including their own teammates, for the rest of the game.
See, when you first said loot, I thought LOOT, and I was like, what? But no, it's the instrument.
Yeah, dog. You gotta strum the loot.
And it's it's quite interesting to see that is the one thing no one is willing to fuck with. It is the one solid rule in Mordhau. That and the challenge rule usually goes pretty honored. If someone challenges you, you square up, and everyone tries to let that go on. They'll even form a circle and let people 1v1 each other. You can't call it out in the chat. They don't care about it in the chat. You have to be able to get to him, crouch down to him multiple times, and throw your weapon on the ground because then you're fighting with fists.
Nice.
I've seen this.
Wait, you're saying this is basically like the Mordhau equivalent of like Counter-Strike knives only? Is that what you're saying right now?
Basically.
Nice. I
like
like it.
If someone, even an archer, shoots into this combat, everyone will immediately turn to see where the arrow came from and start murdering every archer.
See, this doesn't sound like a terrible community. What is that makes it
Oh
bad?
no, it's the chat. It's probably the chat. I would assume it's
effing terrible. Fucking terrible.
Those moments though in like competitive multiplayer games are some of the best fucking moments. Like I have solid memories of playing like a lot of ranked Counter-Strike and shit where every once in a while you manage to get that one round where everyone agrees to just throw their guns away and fucking play knives only for like that shit's cool.
It's definitely fun seeing a challenge. Like I've gone up against people who are just way better than me, and all of a sudden they just throw their weapon on the ground. I'm like, throw the weapon on the ground. We square up, and I'm like, and everyone, I just see a circle forming, both teammates and enemies. I was like, holy shit! I guess there is honor amongst people.
Honor it. Honor it.
You have to honor it. Dishonorable. I don't want to bring dishonor to my family. But definitely cool.
Nice.
Anything else with your sick ass week or no?
Nah, some Digimon and then a lot of online multiplayer online games.
All right.
All right, my week.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Go ahead.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't say anything. I literally didn't say anything. It's fine. Go ahead.
I'll just go fuck myself. No, that's
I mean,
all
you
right.
can do that too.
I have one thing to add to my week, but I'm gonna wait until Richie's
do it
done.
now.
I'm not gonna interrupt.
Get it out of the way.
I'm not.
Nope,
Nope.
I
I'm not.
want you-
We'll sit
I
here
want you to get
silent
out
for
of
the
the
next 2 hours.
We're wasting more time.
No, we're not. This is content, Anthony. Content.
I know, it's
This is what the people want.
Anthony, the stickler for time now, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, this is the reason.
But all right, my week. Don't worry, my week is gonna be quick because I didn't do much. Besides seeing the worst of humanity while slicing up deli meat, I played. I've been getting back into the DotA with Brandon. You know, getting the rust out. Prepping for that battle pass. A little bit of Total War because I really enjoy that game, and I'm excited for the DLC. Looks pretty cool. Yeah, that's all I did.
God, your week was about as exciting as mine.
I didn't watch any new movie. Yeah.
I won't lie.
Yeah.
I feel
I work
partially
and I play
pressured.
2 games.
Why? What do you mean?
Like, just like partially through the week, it's like, man, I better switch up my schedule just so I have something to talk about.
I feel like I have the opposite kind of reaction. I think yesterday it dawned on me. I was sitting here doing something and I was like, man, when the podcast comes tomorrow, I'm not gonna have anything to talk about. I should like actually turn on RE3 and finish that and stop just playing Warhammer like a fucking weirdo idiot. And then I was like, wait, I don't care. my week will just be quick. I'll be like, yeah, I did this, and that. Go ahead.
Oh,
And that's it. It's more time for the fucking news. Whatever, dude.
Yep. Part of my week too was sitting down and crying myself to sleep because my friend Brandon will never play Total War with me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't asked. And
I know. Granted, I didn't ask, but I know that if I ask, I'll get a no.
You're correct. You probably will.
Your assumption is correct.
As there's a co-op and no one plays with me. And you know what? I'm not even putting all the blame on Brandon because Anthony, you have that game, and Rob, you have that game. Now, granted, I haven't asked Anthony.
Wow,
your
own brother will not play Warhammer 2 with you?
No.
What the?
This is very correct.
See, I'm terrible at the game. I would drag anyone down. That's why.
Yeah,
No, but that's the
what a
point of
co-op
playing with
campaign's
someone.
for.
That's the point of playing with someone is they can help you and be like, do this now and do that.
Those games are also gigantic, and there's a reason that I.
They are. That's part of the reason why I don't play much with you, Richie, like co-op campaign, is because I'm just like, fuck, man, it's gonna take for. And like a game already takes long enough as it is, but now I have to wait not just for my turn, but your turn as well, and it's like. Oh, I don't know, dude. I don't know if I want to sit down night after night to fucking.
Ooh, well, I got
play
two
through
things
that
to say
whole
to that.
ME
One,
campaign.
it doesn't have to be night after night. And 2, you got to wait through my turn. You know how long I wait through your turns in every turn-based game?
You are so dramatic about that shit. You know what's hilarious?
God.
The last few times we've played Endless Space 2, I remember this because I sat in my fucking chair and I giggled to myself every time I click that end turn button and I'm looking at your fucking name not ending your turn. And I'm like, you know what, dude?
All right, you know what that was?
Man.
That was
I'm not
probably
gonna
me
make
and the ship designer. That's probably what that
fucking
was.
joke, dude. I'm not even gonna make the joke. I'm just gonna let it roll, dude. I'm not even that bad. You know when my turn gets long? My turn gets long when the game gets long, and then I have a lot of shit to manage. And in Warhammer 2, that gets really rough because later on you have so many fucking settlements and armies, and that game has the same problem every Total War game has had for fucking years, and that it's really, really kind of shitty in terms of its UI and like micromanaging all that bullshit every single. It kind of blows. So I think about that and I'm like, man, I just kind of don't want to do that. Like for 2 turns in a row for like what the 500 turns that it would take to fucking finish in Mortal Empires campaign or some shit.
I'll just continue to cry myself to sleep.
Yeah, do it.
You
Do
that.
it. And use the tears as lube.
You know how
I always do.
when YouTube channels get really big and there's all those
Like
crazy,
ours will never.
let's pretend, and there's always those crazy like Reddit conspiracies of how they like secretly hate each other and they're not talking like.
Hey, do you guys?
We're gonna be so ripe with that shit.
Do you guys enjoy me and Richie yelling at each other over turn times and whether or not we'll play co-op campaigns with each other? Hit like and put a comment down there, baby, and hit subscribe and click the bell.
Subscribe for more.
Keep getting more of this shit.
Arguments.
If you like arguments about turn-based games not playing with each other and Hitler thumbnails, we're the channel for
No.
you.
Subscribe and click the bell.
If you want more debates, hit like so we know this is the stuff you like. We'll drop all the news and just go to debates.
Was that your
Actually,
week?
I'm okay with that.
I'm gonna
Do you have-
squash all the conspiracies. I love my friends, but they don't play the games I want to play, and that infuriates me.
Is that your week? Do you have more to your
Except
week?
DotA. We're on the same page with DotA. Yes, my week is over.
Cool. I'll add
Except
my
for you,
one
Nancy.
little.
He doesn't
I'll
like
add
it.
my one little thing that I forgot, which is that I've also continued my rewatch of Game of Thrones, which I continuously forget to talk about on this podcast.
Oh, where you at?
I have just finished season 6 like a few days ago,
Oh, you.
and in my humble opinion, here's where I'm at now. At some point in the future, not to mild spoiler alert, I think at some point in the future we've discussed wanting to do like a Game of Thrones cast, like a whole cast about it, where we talk about the last season and the things that are trash, and then we make like a really clickbaity thumbnail for it, and like that's obviously how we'll explode, and then we have to just make like Game of Thrones focused content for the rest of our life.
Yeah, because
clearly,
Game of Thrones isn't dead right now.
no. Well, prequels are
Two
coming,
new
dude.
shows, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Prequels are
touche,
coming. There's
touche.
more. There's going to be more content. Okay, but anyway, so I won't get too deep into it, but I will say, and I mentioned this to Richie, I think, like after I'd finished watching season 6, that season 5 and season 6 are not as bad as I think most people make them out to be. They're clearly not as good as the 4 seasons that came before them, but there are some people, and I've seen this sentiment on like multiple YouTube videos and like comment sections for those videos of people being like, just stop after 4, like just the show's dead after season 4, stop watching. And like in my mind I'm like, did we watch the same show? Like Hardhome is in season 5, and that episode is sick. And like season 6 has the Battle of the Bastards, which is, in my opinion, one of the best battle scenes I think I've ever watched, just in terms of like cinematography. It's really sick. Like those moments where, like, spoilers for Game of Thrones if anyone gives a fuck, but those moments where like Jon's in the middle of the fucking chaos and he's like taking a dude off his horse, then he fights another guy and he's fighting another guy and he's not looking behind him, and there's a guy that's charging him on a horse behind him, and then that guy gets taken out by a horse, and there's just this like fucking chaos that's going on.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's super well done. And those moments make me look back on season 5 and 6 with like a bit of a positive kind of light on them. Even though there's definitely a drop in quality for like some of the dialogue and whatnot, and just the general writing in those 2 seasons compared to the 4 that came before them. But they're not, and I think anyone who's like on rewatch, I think anyone who's like just quit watching the show after season 4 is being a little dramatic, because I don't 100% agree. I think that's kind of fucked up. End cap is soon. I will start season 7. I'm not looking forward to that because I know that's where I really kind of started to dislike the show a little bit.
I have a more positive opinion of 7. While not fantastic, I don't think it was that bad. And then compared to season 8,
I think season 7 is arguably a lot worse than 5 and 6. Even without me having rewatched it yet, I don't think it's as good as 5 or 6. Because I know what's coming.
I mean, I have to watch the whole season again to like just experience it. And I'm not saying you're wrong, but from what I remember, I don't think season 7 is that bad in general. I'm not saying like compared to other seasons. I'm just saying like there were things wrong with it. I know there were things wrong with season 7, but to say like it was bad when season 8 is there, I can't.
Of course. Well, no, we can. Yeah, but if we're gonna have that, like that's not even fair. Like, of course, it's not as bad as season 8. But if we're looking at the season as in terms of what came before it and not what comes after it. I don't think season 7 is nearly as good as the 6 seasons that come before it. I remember when all of us, literally all of us on this podcast right now, including some people who aren't here right now, were watching that season live, like as it aired. And I remember I had a conversation with all of you. We were in your fucking kitchen, Richie, and I had a conversation with all of you where I was like, I don't think these last few seasons have been that great. And I saw it right then and there that I could and even like the season that we were watching, I was like, this feels kind of shitty. Like I couldn't really put my finger on it, but I was like, there's a definite fucking drop in quality. And I think part of it too is like, I know what's coming in 7. And part of what's coming in 7 is the drop off of logic, which is the espionage mission to the north to get the zombie, to bring it back, to prove to Cersei that they're real. And it's like, why are we having like these Metal Gear Solid missions with like 6 dudes going into the north in season? Like in the moment you're like, oh, it's so cool, dude, the Hound and all these people, they're going to the north, it's so fucking dope. But then you think about it longer than not at all and you're like, this makes 0 sense. This is like 10 times worse than like Bronn and Jaime going to Dorne by themselves. It's just fucking nonsense. And it's like shit like that is where you start to see like the real drop in quality, in my opinion. And then 8's obviously a shit show that doesn't really need to be discussed.
I don't know. I think I have comments, but that's for a different cast at a different time.
Yeah, whatever. The moral of the story
Yeah.
is 5 and 6 aren't nearly as bad as people make them out to be, because there's some really cool moments, but they're definitely shittier than seasons 1 through 4. And soon I will begin my rewatch of season 7, maybe even starting tomorrow. I might even be done with it by the time we record again next week. So that's me, dude.
All right, so news. Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of that shit. Did you guys?
Yeah. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a lot of like technical stuff to say about it, but looks good. I hear there's some controversy with it.
Oh boy.
But
Isn't it
but-
weird that like so far like I don't remember there ever being a time like this where like I don't want to say like, you know, consumers and stuff like that and people are sheep or whatever, but like I remember whenever there was an announcement, there's like this hype buzz and then it would like fade out and there might be some controversy down the line. But it feels like lately every single big release has led to like a almost instant big controversy, and it's really weird. So
What else?
This,
Well, just out of curiosity, well, before you dive into it, just out of curiosity, what other large releases are you thinking of that have had controversy
well,
associated with them?
there's the Xbox gameplay thing. There was like
Oh, yeah.
like just lately, like even like listening to our podcast back a few weeks, like every time we mention like a big thing, it's like usually it's because there's a controversy involved. It's not just this came out and was cool. It's some crazy shit happened. So the cool thing, let's get that out of the way first, is that with Unreal Engine 5 comes a new licensing policy, where if you don't make $1 million in sales, they just waive the licensing fee. Which I joked about when I heard that there's going to be a lot of games like built to fail just so that they could make money but not have to pay the fee, you know,
Right.
until like Springtime for Hitler happens, and then it's like, oh crap, how did we succeed? But that's a really cool thing. That's good for developers. Anything to get more tools in more hands leads to more content, which, I mean, is a double-edged sword. You get more unique things made, you get more crap, whatever. So the latest, and I don't want to say it's like really controversy, is the whole, but you know, shitstorms are shitstorms, is that the performance. So it ran, I think it was like 1440p at 30 frames per second on supposedly PS5 hardware. And that's all cool. It looked amazing. Character model was didn't really fit how realistic the scenery was, but that's like a minor nitpick on me.
I find
I
that
didn't mind the
not-
character model.
No, I didn't mind it, but it just
whatever.
kind of stood out.
It's a test. Like I don't think
Right.
they probably didn't put that much time into it. But like one thing I kind of said before you started diving into this, I didn't really watch the gameplay demonstration. I read a little bit about it, but I didn't watch it. I've seen people when I saw people say things like what you just said now about whatever resolution at 30 frames supposedly on PS5, and then I saw someone else mention that like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to run at 30 on Xbox Series X, and like every time I see something like this, I'm like, all this new console shit's really cool, but it's all going to be, I feel maybe this is a little fucked up of me to say, but it's like in a few months after these consoles are out, maybe longer than that, maybe like half a year to a year after these consoles are out, and then PCs are able to just run all these games that these consoles are running at the same resolutions but at like 60 or like plus. It's like I feel like we're just getting the same shit again, you know?
Yeah, I think that's part of the blowback to this, and I'm gonna get to like the actual controversy in a second, is where it's like how do I put it into words? Where all this pre-buzz of it being like finally better and catching up. Hey, consoles have SSDs now. That was only 10 years old. And like this, oh, it's finally going to be like 60 FPS, and people, all the news things is like it's equal 2080 Ti performance and stuff. And then surprise, surprise, it was kind of exaggerated, you know, and this has literally happened almost every console release since like mid PlayStation 2. Like there was that little bit where like consoles and PCs were just in such, they were in like different categories, but now they're just basically like pre-built PCs. And for price performance, they have really good performance. I mean, most pre-built PCs are just complete trash, and I don't know why people buy them. But yeah, it's starting to get more and more where it's like, I don't know why, especially now that like exclusives are becoming less of a thing. It's like, so here's the controversy, is that all leads into it, is supposedly, and I say supposedly because of reasons. There's video of Epic China played the video, the same engine test on a laptop that beat the PlayStation 4's performance by 10 frames per second. And now
PlayStation 5 or 4?
PlayStation 5, my bad, PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
Now, this laptop was juice. It had the mobile version of the 2080 Ti, which people say matches kind of like a 2070 Super PC-wise, but that's not really true. It's just that laptop cards get gimped because there's a lot bigger heat concerns and power draw concerns. So the actual hardware's the same, but it doesn't run full to spec. And then it also had, you know, a banging processor. It was a top-of-the-line thing. So now, you know, immediately it gets parsed down into ridiculousness and arguments where it's like, okay, so then the PS5, it's weaker than the 2070 Super, so maybe it's a 2060 Super, which is equivalent to a 1070. So it's the next gen consoles are worse than like 15-year-old, where it's just like you go from one kind of okay comparison to like 4 down the chain, and now it's like apples to oranges.
I mean, people will always take shit a little further than it needs to go, but I do think that's interesting and kind of telling that they're running the same test on laptop hardware and exceeding the performance. Like that is still kind of interesting.
Oh yeah,
you can't say that's not. It's a little telling of what's going.
It's really funny because, and then this is the other part, is for some reason Epic CEO Tim Sweeny has been coming super to bat for the PlayStation 5 for some reason, where he's kind of like arguing against it, but he's also arguing in like weirdly bad faith, where he's claiming that they're playing a video file, they're not running the demo, when that's Epic China, like that's his part of his company, and he's like throwing shade on them. And then if it was a video, then why is there a frames per second counter? And then people released where Tim Sweeney's been doing interviews for like years and years, and almost every time there's a new Sony console, he's like, this thing's going to crush PCs. It's going to be the greatest thing. So it's just a funny thing that Tim Sweeny, apparently huge Sony fan.
That's kind of strange. Though, hold on. I do find it interesting that people are using the fact that there's a frame rate counter on it to try and defend the fact that they're saying it's not a video file and it's got to be rendered in real time. People realize you can record video with a frame rate counter, right? Like you can do that. I could do that right now. I could do it literally right now, sitting here at my computer. I could open up MSI. I could record video with frame rate in the corner. Like you can do that. So it didn't need to be rendered in real time. That could have been video. If people's only defense is that there's a frame rate counter in the video, like that's the weakest defense I've ever heard, unless there's something that you're missing that you're not telling me. But like that makes no sense. That's you can record video with a frame rate counter.
I think it's everything in conjunction, because supposedly this is only run on PlayStation 5 so far. It's been confirmed at 30.
All right.
So then what is running on 40? And again, these Chinese guys are like, yeah, it's playing on the laptop. It's not a video. Like, people have commented to Tim Sweeny, like, dude, I understand Chinese. They didn't say it was a video. Why are you saying that they're saying it's a video? Like, stuff like that is happening.
Well, that's an important detail.
Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, that's strange. I don't know how to feel about that. Other than the fact that I'm, I don't want to make predictions and like go out on a limb and say something that is completely fucking out of left field and false in like a few months when these consoles are actually out and in people's hands. But I'm willing to bet that this console generation is going to be the same shit we've always had. It's going to be a bump up from what we have now. But given time, or even in the moment when they come out, there's PC hardware that's just going to surpass it. That's just going to be the case. All this like grandstanding from these companies being like, yeah, man, these consoles are sick. Look at what they can do. It's not going to matter. Even if in the moment they come out and they can compete with like top of the line PCs, which is probably not going to be the case. But even if they can, given a little bit of time, it's going to reverse. That's just how things work. So
yeah,
I'm looking at all this console shit with like a little bit of a grain of salt, because I'm like, oh, cool, okay, that resolution at 30 frames per second. Like, why? First of all, why the fuck do we care about these top resolutions when like most people don't even have displays for that shit? And why are we not just concerned with frame rate?
Yeah,
why are we still playing? Why are we still playing Valhalla at 30 frames per second on Xbox Series X? Just get it to 60. Fuck. I'd rather it runs at 1080 and looks really nice, like texture resolution, all that shit, but runs at 1080, 60 frames on Xbox Series X. Just give me that.
It's not even that. It's like, even like super high end, like we're talking about like RTX Titans and stuff. If you turn everything on, if you're at like 8K, RTX on, all your filters and whatnot, even high-end PCs get like big frame hits and they're like struggling to hit 60.
Bro, there's a reason why like top top competitive like first person shooter players and shit like that will play these games. Like, I can name anything, literally anything, it doesn't matter, but like Apex, Overwatch, whatever, it doesn't matter what they're playing. But the point is, they play these games right on like these fucking top quality rigs, and then they down their fucking graphics settings just to get like 144 frames per second.
Yeah.
For gameplay. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I don't get it.
Yeah, again, yeah.
I don't get it.
And you start comparing, like, again, if high-end PCs are struggling with 8K, and we already have, like, 8K TVs and monitors, like, to get that console size, laptop size, like, it's gonna take years. If a full tower with all the space and money in the world is having problems, like, just don't aim for 8K. Don't aim for the highest resolution.
It's so stupid. Like, who gives a fuck about 8K? First of all, I did a little bit of reading about 8K, and I also watched, like, this was after I watched, I was watching a Maximilian stream where he was like talking to his chat about like the difference between 4K to 8K, and then I read up on it a little bit. I've never really experienced 8K with my own eyeballs. I have a 4K smart TV downstairs right now, so I've seen. But like 8K, I'm not super familiar with. But from what I understand, the difference currently between like 4K and 8K is minimal. It barely fucking matters. And to be completely honest, I would rather they don't shoot for that.
Yeah.
Shoot for tops 4K, or say fuck that and run things at 1080 with high frame rate. Give us that, dude. Like, frame rate matters so much more to me than fucking resolution.
Yeah.
Get like HD textures, 1080p, 60 frames per second, or higher than 60 frames per second, so people with higher refresh rate displays can experience that, and then we're good to go. Aim for that shit on consoles. Like, no one gives a fuck about 8K, and if they do, then they're just thinking about it in terms of like, oh, the big number, big resolution must be better, and it's like, no, dude, just 1080 or 4K at like high frame rate. Go for that. Fucking Microsoft and Sony, they're not going to, but like, just fucking let's get that shit going instead of just telling me that Valhalla runs at 30, because I don't give a fuck. I could run Valhalla right now at higher than 30 on my PC. I'm willing to guarantee that. So like, what the fuck?
Because we're PC people. You know, there's people
but
who
my
are like
PC's not even that new.
Yeah, but there are people who are console purists. So when they push the number up, it makes them feel good.
They get the
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
They think it's good.
They
but
don't
still,
realize it's the wrong number is going.
Yeah,
up.
Exactly. Those people don't realize they're being fucked though. Like, it's not the right number.
I mean, they started to fix it. There was that little bit in like late PlayStation 3 that just dropped where it was like, oh yeah, you could get the higher resolution, or you select the mode where it's higher frame rate, and then like they did that for a couple of years, and then like nothing did that anymore, and I don't understand why.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. Consoles are going in a weird direction, and I don't fucking understand it. We've been sitting here literally for the last like. First of all, I'm really. I don't even know why I give a shit, because I'm not gonna probably buy either of these fucking consoles. But the point is,
and tell me why you're giving a shit.
It's so frustrating to me to see that these consoles are not showing us what we want to see. Like, we're having so much difficulty getting gameplay on these consoles. In like,
we haven't even seen a PS5 yet.
we haven't physically seen a PS5. We've barely seen gameplay running on either of these consoles. I still have not seen Halo gameplay, and these consoles are coming out in like what, December? Like, what's going on, dude?
Yeah.
And then we hear all this news about these specs, but then it comes to be that like the wrong numbers going up, and it's like, what are we doing? Like, I don't get it. It's strange to me.
Anyway, we should probably move on.
Probably.
Do you guys, the Freers, any input?
Nope.
Topic? No, said basically everything.
Yeah, you guys went ham on it.
Bro, feel free to fucking interrupt me when I'm going nuts.
No, I like when you go nuts.
Goats of I can't even pronounce it. Shumira? Ghost.
Ghost of Tsushima?
Ghosts. I'm gonna call it Ghost from now.
Call of Duty Ghosts?
StarCraft Ghost. Oh man. Anyway, so that had a big gameplay. I want to say vertical slice. I'll call it. And I will reserve my thoughts because I think I'm gonna be like super negative and the only one that's negative. So
yeah, that's
you guys
the thing.
go first.
Because you said something. From what I saw, I didn't watch the whole thing super in depth, but I did look at some parts of it. It looked good. Like, I want to hear your negative thoughts, and because they're gonna make me think about it. So
I don't even have a lot to talk about on this because I didn't watch it.
Some of they have some cool concepts, like the fucking I like that. Well, you know, like any game, of course. Well, not any game, but you know, like most games in Japan, they give you the subtitle and the actual Japanese voice acting, which is kind of cool for that game. They give you like the old school black and white like mode to play the game, like instead of like color. So it kind of feels like an old movie.
Yeah, old samurai flick.
Yeah. That's really cool. Besides that, I mean, I don't know, like game looked fun. Maybe a little like Batman Arkham-y, as in like, look, the guy is clearly attacking. Time to hit the button and counter that.
We lose for. I saw gameplay of this, not the gameplay that you guys are talking about, but back when they like first showed this game off. So I'm very behind in terms of this game. But I remember even back then when I saw that gameplay, I was like, I remember in that old gameplay there was no UI, and even back then I could see him fighting the dudes, and I was like, this looks like a Batman game or like an Assassin's Creed game. Like, I feel like I can see it from a mile away, that he's just hitting the right button at the right time, and like that's what it is. And it sounds like you're telling me that that's what it is from this new.
That was my impression I got from it, but I like that. it's got like the two ways you could play, the ghost and then like the samurai, and that armor gives you like the bonuses to play that way better. I don't know, it just seemed cool.
Interesting.
I'll start with my positives, is that I super liked the armor system, because not only did they show that there was kind of like, at the very least, a light armor route and a heavy armor route, and like different, like the ghost version of the gameplay, he had a lot more tools. I don't know if that will be closed off if you go samurai route. They mentioned that he turns into the ghost, so I don't know if it's kind of locked in or what. That will just, as more information of the game comes out, that's when that'll be released. The things I had problem with is really minor. I think it's just, it rubs me the wrong way so badly, though. It's they have this new system where they want a minimalist UI. They want you to kind of explore the world, so there's not big nav markers. You kind of have to like look out and like, oh, there's smoke. That means that in the game world there's literally like a fire there. So that's guaranteed like a town or a camp or something like that. That's really cool. Animals will fly by or walk by and kind of lead you to things because of that. Like birds go by people, foxes go like hide in abandoned shrines, things like that nature. Really, really cool. And then for actual navigation, like if you click a point of interest on your map, you could just trigger gusts of wind, which kind of like blow your cape, and there's also the visual like wind indicator that you could I guess tap a button for this, and then that will lead you to the destination. All really cool, minimalist, very beautiful. They're talking about how, yeah, they don't want to break the immersion, all that stuff. And then he goes to collect the plant. And the plant is shining like a beacon in this beautiful forest after like 5 minutes of them describing, trying to be as, unobtrusive and as immersive as possible. It shines like it's made of plastic, like this radial starting from the bottom going to the top to let you know you could pick up this plant. And it was like, you did so good in like everywhere else.
Bro,
Like,
it's a fucking AAA game. You think they're not gonna have like god rays on items and to make sure that you get them?
I guess, man. Like, that's all I could think of. Like, where they figured out all these systems for everything else, but then when it was like, what's an item you can interact with, they were just like, they just scratched their heads and they're like, fuck, man, I guess we gotta make it glow.
Fuck it, whatever, dude.
And then the other thing is, yeah, the actual combat I was kind of let down by, because in the first trailer, there's that awesome samurai showdown scene where he does like the draw attack, and it just looked sick as hell. And then like in gameplay, it's like a meter you could build up, and you press a button and it starts that, and then it's like just a QTE and you just kill the guys. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And
Yeah, like the assassination shit the ghost was doing. It's like straight out of like Shadow of Mordor, where it's like hit the triangle button, do a chain assassination.
yeah. And so
This.
like, sorry.
Go ahead. No, that's fine. Go ahead.
So like, yeah, its presentation was like, would be a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for that thing, and because it's like the only thing, for some reason that makes like that intensifies how it bothers me. And then yeah, the actual combat and some of the animations, like the lighting the gunpowder scene at the end, like that explosion looked like shit, and then it's a hard cut to him throwing a torch someplace else, and then it's a hard cut to like a what's the game? Far Cry-esque, you've conquered the location, like pan out, and now, but everything is on fire, and there's like no transition, and even like some of the buildings aren't on fire, but the ground is on fire, which shows that the area is conquered. It was just really weird, like, and I think that's part of me building it up, is just that there was so much that was like 10 out of 10, that when the 4s and 5s in certain areas crept out, it just made it feel so much worse. And that's basically my take on it.
I mean, it could very likely be once again, I don't want to be overly negative long before people have had their hands on this game and shit, but it's like it could very likely just be one of those games that's like, here's a lot of flash and it looks real pretty and there's some cool stuff about its systems, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like a hollow launch title, you know? Kind of like a Rise Son of Rome situation, you know? That's the vibes I'm getting. Is that this is Sony's like fucking Nippon Rise Son of Rome, where it's got like the mildly like brain dead Batman-ish combat that can be fun, but is pretty overdone now at this point, and it looks nice. But once you've got your hands on it, it might become abundantly clear that it's not a particularly complex game. You know, it's just one of those games that's got to be there at launch to sell consoles. You know, is it even a launch title? I'm kind of talking out of my ass.
I'll assume
even
it
know?
is. I don't really know. Well, because we haven't even seen a PS5. Who the fuck knows when this
No
thing
one
is
knows
launching?
anymore.
Apparently, it's Wait, it's not even a fucking PS5 game. It's releasing on July 17th for PS4.
Well, there you go.
Strange, but yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a lot of flat. Maybe it's like, you know, Sony's Rise Son of Rome. A lot of flash, but relatively not super thought out mechanic. Very repetitive. But who knows? Maybe it's Sony's fucking killer app for years to come, and we're all talking shit.
You can't predict the market. There's
True.
been many things that have like come out, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, that looks like garbage, and then it's like a runaway success, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Good for them.
yeah.
There's a lot of fucking Killzone games that came out, even though that first game was like
That game,
50 Shades of Oak.
oh, I liked a lot of things about the first Killzone. It was a buggy mess, like even on launch.
Oh, absolutely. And I loved all the marketing for it, where it was like, dude, this is Sony's Halo, dude. It's Sony's Halo, and then you play it and you're like, yeah, it's all right.
There was like 20 Halo killers, and all of them were like not just bad, but like trash, which was
Yeah.
amazing.
Or just like extraordinarily average, you know. Like I wouldn't say Killzone was bad. I would just say
Killzone
that
2
it was kind of
is one of my favorite games. It's very, very good, but the other ones in the series are like, I honestly even there's parts of 1 I like more than 2, but it was just so buggy. The animations would like glitch out, and oh boy, it was a thing.
the first Killzone had some really neat ideas, like conceptually, but it wasn't perfectly executed.
No, not at all.
Anyway, let's not go off on a fucking Killzone tangent.
Welcome to the Killzone podcast.
Lead us in, boy. What's next?
The Resident Evil 4 remake, more likely.
Oh, yay.
It's just people talking to get people talking. I do not believe it. I can't
What is
believe
it? What
it.
is this as a result? I'm legitimately curious what your news story is here. Because is this as a result of the thing that I posted?
Yeah,
Or is this
because
something else?
there was already
Okay.
rumors of them doing it. We found old kind of archive footage of them remaking RE1 and stuff like that. And it's just I feel like they're gonna do it. They've done all these remakes. These remakes have been successful, even though 3 was not as
So
highly raised.
We should explain what we're talking about before we go any further.
yeah,
That
go
there
ahead.
was an article that came out, I think like yesterday, or maybe I'd have to go look at the date on the article, but regardless, someone from Capcom came out. This is a very, very, very mild spoiler for RE3 Remake. And when I say very mild, I mean like extremely mild, so don't be too concerned with it. It's just that sometimes when you run into Nemesis, he's capable of doing this thing that he was not able to do in the previous game. The original game, I should say, which is that he can like put a parasite of some kind onto zombies, and it like covers their head and kind of changes how they look, and it makes them very Las Plagas-y from RE4. So someone from Capcom came out and said, yeah, that's because there's multiple branches of Umbrella, and people from Umbrella, like somewhere to the east, found like Las Plagas shit, sent it back, and that is what Project Nemesis is it's actually basically Las Plagas shit inside of a like creature of some kind to create Nemesis. So basically they've tied RE4 into old game canon, and Nemesis is like a direct line of contact from RE3 to RE4. So depending on how you take that, that could mean that they're working on RE4 remake like right now. And that's the big hint.
I don't see why they would bring up RE4 stuff out of nowhere, and especially.
I don't either. It's weird. Literally,
do you think that they're gonna remake Code Veronica? Because no, they're not.
I mean, I would like that more than 4.
I would too, because
Me
like
too,
Code Veronica.
honestly.
Listen, Code Veronica might not have been a good game at the time, but they can remake it and make it good. And you have a Claire model in RE Engine right now, so why not just make fucking Code Veronica? And you have a fucking Chris model. You have a Chris model from RE7 as well. Like, just fucking use it.
Who was the guy in Veronica? Because he sucked as a character. I hated him.
Oh god, that shitlord that dies.
Yes.
Or whatever. Wow, spoilers for Code Veronica, but nobody should care. I can't remember that guy's name at all. Probably because he was
who dies.
And don't they like make it? Doesn't Claire like fall in love with that dude like before the end of the game, and she's all like lovey-dovey with him, and then he eats shit.
Yep.
And he's like absolute garbage.
And he's like half her age.
Yeah.
Then again, all the protagonists in Resident Evil are very young, so he's not really half her age. He just feels like a lot younger character because he's Japan's idea of like a cool punk guy who's like, yeah, zombies, whatever.
Burnside? Like, is that who it is?
It might be. No, wait, isn't Burnside the police chief? Maybe it was related to
Burns or no, Chief Irons. Chief Irons is the police chief from RE2, if that's what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't know that kid's name, but it doesn't matter. The point is, supposedly they might be remaking RE4. This was a rumor that I think didn't we talk about that like a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
And
it is
now we have
good job.
Now we have a direct link from RE3 remake to RE4, which could be either a huge hint that RE4 remake is coming, or it means nothing at all. I would prefer them to just remake. I would honestly prefer them to just remake Resident Evil 1. Because they have I legitimately don't know why that's so funny, because it would be completely different.
No, I know, but it's still just even the concept of it is like, what is going on in this industry?
But it's not that crazy, getting like an RE Engine version of that first game, it wouldn't be remotely the same game.
No,
imagine like the RE2 remake experience, which I've played multiple times. I love that game. I think RE2 remake is fucking sick. And I can only imagine what it would be like to do that, but through the Spencer estate instead. And like re-experiencing that game.
And then take all of those and remake them again, but from the Resident Evil 7 first-person perspective.
Yeah, no, people have already done that with mods. That's not.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, never
that's
mind.
not necessary.
Gun Survivor, make it.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. But yeah, I'm excited about the possibility of an RE1 remake in RE Engine, mainly because I think Jill is fucking awesome in RE3 remake, and they have the model, so why not just do RE1? I don't think RE4 is necessary. I think we've all spoken about this previously on this podcast, but I don't understand why they would redo RE4. That game holds up to this day. It's not even a particularly bad looking game. Like it's old. It shows its age somewhat, but like it's decent and it plays really well.
Here's the thing though. I don't think the fucking execs are saying, "Wow, the game holds up well. We're not going to do one."
No, they're saying it'll sell copies.
Will buy it.
Yeah. But no, but here's the thing. If they remake RE4, people are going to buy that shit in droves. They're probably going to buy it more than they bought RE3 remake, and they'll probably buy it more than they bought RE2 remake, because there's a lot of people out there that like fucking RE4. That being said, I also think they'd sell a fuckload of copies if they remade the first game. So I don't know why they wouldn't just do that. And then we don't have to touch the game that's already pretty fucking perfect. Because I'll be really honest, my main fear with them remaking RE4 is that the game looks prettier, but it's a worse game. Because you can make it look nicer, but it doesn't mean that the game is going to be as good as original RE4. You know, especially because RE3 remake shows that like Capcom, even in this like godlike remake fucking zone that they're in at the moment, can still make mistakes. Like RE3 remake is not of as high of a quality as RE2 remake. They can fuck up. So I'm concerned that RE4 remake will just be a shittier, more hollow version of OG RE4 that just looks pretty with like new Leon model. That's my fucking concern. So I would prefer they just don't even chance fucking it up and just give me like RE1.
Give me Outbreak remake, please.
Or that. They literally, like, that's funny. It sounds like a joke, but I don't understand why they wouldn't at this point, because they're trying Resistance. They obviously want to like get into the multiplayer space in some way. Just give us fucking Outbreak, bro.
Outbreak was so good.
But they're never going to do that.
No,
so
they're
instead,
not,
they'll remake RE4 because that's going to sell copies. And I'm pretty much convinced that it's happening because of this tie-in, to be completely honest, which makes me really scared because I wish that it was not. I would prefer RE1 remake. I would prefer more like RE Engine, Jill, and like Chris would be really cool in an RE1 remake, as opposed to touching the perfect game that is RE4. But that's me.
That's the hot take.
It's not even that hot, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any opinions on it. I'm just sitting here bitching about fucking RE4 remake.
I don't want to believe it, but I guess anything's possible.
I think everything's going to get a remake eventually because people are out of ideas.
And
Hey,
companies want, and companies want to. They know their older games, which are popular, will sell if they get remade. So it's just a money decision.
Supposedly they're making Resident Evil 8 right now, though, so maybe that's going to come out at some point before like RE4 remake or something. So like they're still making original games. They're just also putting out remakes.
That usually remakes.
Give me
the fun
Dino
new
Crisis.
ones. It's fine. Yeah. Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dino Crisis would be sick, but if RE4 remake is happening, I bet Dino Crisis isn't coming for a long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up.
Give me Devil May Cry 1 in the style. Give me Dante and DMC1 RE Engine with style switching. Like that would be sick.
Again, we mentioned it before, but RE Engine Onimusha would just make me.
Or that. Never gonna happen. Literally impossible. Never gonna happen. There's not a single soul right now as we fucking speak in Capcom's offices. There is not a single soul sitting in their chair in their fucking cubicle working on a character model of Samanosuke in fucking RE Engine. No one's doing that. And it's not even in anyone's brain.
If you said Samanosuke to any of them, they would look at you confused.
They look at me sideways and be like, what?
What's a Samanosuke?
Who's that? What anime is that from? I don't understand.
Okay, next is Doom Eternal fucked by anti-cheat. Yay.
This story is kind of shocking and interesting. I also think people are making like, as per usual, I think people are making a bigger stink of it than there is, but I do think it's strange and it sets a bit of a crazy precedent going. But you should probably explain it before I start going nuts.
Okay, so basically, Denuvo anti-cheat. This is an anti-cheat that has been used in a large number of games, actually. It's not something like completely new. Already hated for being ineffective and invasive. There's a lot of Denuvo games that have been cracked. There's some that haven't, but yeah, long story short, because they're trying to move ahead with Eternal's kind of weird Demon Souls evasion thing, or invasion, not evasion, they are going, in a patch, implemented Denuvo anti-cheat. Now, this might also have to deal with the fact that Doom got pirated to shit because the Bethesda launcher version, for some reason, had just an executable file that could be copied and pasted wherever, and it just worked. Don't know what that was all about, but whatever. Even fun fact, so I played it on Steam. I don't have a Uplay account. You could do that if you play it and it's like make a Uplay account, you can I can't remember the method to like break it, but it was like something about like alt tabbing and like you had to do something, but then it was like okay, and you could just play without a profile, but it saved your profile. It was very weird.
A Uplay account? Isn't Uplay the Ubisoft
Not okay,
fucking
whatever
one?
the one for
But that's the it's
yeah,
probably
sorry.
yeah.
That one. So yeah, there's just been a lot of weird shit. And now they added this anti-cheat. I've heard it affects performance because Denuvo is kind of like a kernel level annoying thing. And since it was patched into the game, its integration is supposedly bad. I refunded it almost immediately because I didn't like it. Check out podcast number this to hear me talk about that. And yeah, pretty crazy. That's the story.
I think
and,
it's just
and Steam is also allowing refunds, even though there's been a lot of playtime because it's a big change.
Yeah, it is. I think the biggest thing about this story is the kind of precedent it sets. Like going forward, the concept of a developer or a publisher being able to just go, "Hey, you bought this for like a month. You thought you knew what you got. Here's a patch that just puts in Denuvo or whatever, however you pronounce it. Like here it is. You didn't know you were getting it on day one.
You didn't realize you bought the early access version.
Yeah, you didn't realize that we were gonna shove this in a month later, but like here it is now. You know what I mean? Like imagine, I'm like the shitstorm that's going on with like, to kind of compare it to something else that's going on with like Vanguard, like the anti-cheat for Valorant and shit like that, and like other Riot games. I think they intend to implement it in. Imagine that kind of level of thing, but now imagine that you had to like pay for something like Valorant. You got the game, and then later on they were like, "Oh, also here's Vanguard." Like a month later, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the weird possibility that this sets up going forward of people just being able to patch their game and throw some shit in that you never intended to install on your computer, and you didn't know you were going to install it on your computer.
Yeah.
It's a little spooky.
Spooky.
I think it's neat. I think it's like good on Steam for giving people refunds, even if they have a fuckload of playtime.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get definitely, it sets a new precedent. Like, again, it's kind of like an early access thing where it's like, yeah, the game could end up way different, but like they advertise that. That's the whole thing about early access, where like this is like it was a game that was launched and was done and was playable, and then here's a huge change. It's like, I don't know. Don't know what possessed them to do that. Well, besides my theory, because of the whoops, we have literally no security features on our software.
There's a lot of tinfoil hat wearing shit that you can do here, because it could be like A, it could be whoops, we have no security. B, it could be we've seen people's negative reaction to this software being bundled with games in the past, so let's very slyly include it later and just hope no one notices. Because like people have been bitching about Denuvo forever. Like people have been complaining about that shit. Like there's been Capcom games that have had it. There's been all kinds of games that have had that shit, and everyone's like, "This sucks. It hits my CPU. I don't like having it on my computer." And like maybe they knew that, and they were like, "Let's just wait like a month, and then we'll push it in a patch, and we'll just hope no one cares."
Yeah.
Maybe. Alternatively, it's the fact they didn't have security. Who knows? It could be one or the other. Big tinfoil hat time. But regardless of why they did it, it is kind of fucked up.
All right. So next is Evo Drop Smash.
I love this. This is the best fucking story all week. I just spiked a water ball in my room. I don't know if that picked up on my mic.
I kind of heard it a bit.
I kind of heard a little bit.
I love this story.
Please take it away.
It's
This
so
is your
good.
story. It was made for you.
Here's what's up, dude. So as I believe, didn't we talk about this last week about how Evo's going online
Yes.
as a result of the Rona? Okay,
Yes.
so Evo's going
you
online as a
specifically
result.
mentioned that it has the worst netcode in the world.
Yeah, so Evo's going online as a result of the Rona. It's hilarious, and everybody's been pointing out how fun. Just quick refresher: it's been pointed out how hilarious that is because like every main stage game in the tournament this year has trash netcode. So everyone's just been speculating for a week, like, what dumpster fire are we going to witness when we get to watch this, streamed or whatever. So this week, people notice. I don't even know if they like officially announced that it got dropped or if they just put out that image and then announced the online tournaments, and people were like, wait, why is Smash not here?
Yeah.
But the
it's
moral of the
gone.
story is, regardless of how it occurred, Smash got dropped. And in its place was 4 open online tournaments for Killer Instinct, Skullgirls, Them's Fighting Herds, and what's the 4th game?
I'm sorry, what?
Help me.
Yeah,
Them's Fighting Herds. What's the 4th game?
I don't remember. You said Skullgirls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, what did you say?
It's fine.
It was Skullgirls, Them's Fighting Herds, KI, and something else. God, it's annoying me. I can't remember what it is. Regardless, so the hilarity of this is that it's like, so your tournament goes online. You recognize that your netcode is that the netcode in one of these games, which is kind of really funny because the netcode in the other ones is bad too. But apparently in Smash, it was so bad that they had to drop it from the whole tournament. And now Nintendo and Bandai Namco get to look at the fact that Smash is not going to be at Evo as a result of their really horrendous netcode. And then they get to watch KI tournaments with amazing netcode, a game that has like probably half the budget of Smash Ultimate with one of the best fucking netcodes in fighting games right now. And people are going to play that shit effortlessly, open online, regardless of where they're fucking playing from. Incredible. I love it.
And Skullgirls updated its netcode.
Yes, and Skullgirls gets an update soon, which not only makes the netcode even better than it already was, but also implements a feature that shows you when people are playing on Wi-Fi as opposed to Ethernet, so you can just like deny them a match because they're playing on Wi-Fi, so the netcode is going to be trash because they're playing on Wi-Fi. Like, that's fucking hilarious, which is a feature that MK11's had since launch. But I think more fighting games need that shit because like if you're going online in your fighting game and you're playing on Wi-Fi, people just say that they don't want to play a match against you if it's going to be like 15 minutes of hell. I think that should be the case. But regardless, I think it's so fucking funny that Smash got dropped as a result of its trash netcode, and then we're going to get to watch KI and Skullgirls and all these 2 other games take Smash's place. Games with far smaller budgets that are practically indie games, and some that are in the case of like Skullgirls and Them's Fighting Herds, and like they're just gonna have like actually good netcode. And I'd be shocked if this doesn't change anything, and if someone at Bandai Namco isn't paying attention to the fact that their game got dropped from the biggest fighting game tournament of the year in favor of Killer Instinct, a game that hasn't gotten new content for like fucking 2 years and has had better netcode than your game since launch. Like, what's going on in fucking fighting games right now, dude?
Gotta get those character passes. All right, and now to lightning round. Guilty Gear Strive has been delayed. I think this is a good thing.
Could be. It's very unclear what they're gonna use the time for.
Hopefully, a better UI.
You know,
Hopefully.
And damage.
Like that's what people are hoping for. I would like some gameplay tweaks. I think, hey, Arxis, you're not listening to this because no one's listening to this. But if you were listening to this, I implore you, use this extra time to lower the damage on Soul's command grab. That's all I'm
NVIDIA presentation. They had their GDC. It was mostly server stuff. Crazy new server-based architecture. And but they also did talk about DLSS and RTX, which is something us gamers get to actually use. Looks good. DLSS 3 is gonna be nuts.
Sweet.
Sony might buy Take-Two. This is probably bullshit, but holy shit if it was real.
I certainly don't believe it, but
No, I don't believe it either.
Revised D&D. Robbie.
Newest Unearthed Arcana came out. Go check it out for yourselves. Thing that's different from most Unearthed Arcanas is that it is a revise of other Unearthed Arcanas that have already come out. This is not something usually they do. Usually they put out something new. This is in the rumor mill that these may be subclasses they plan to add into the next big book. Only time will tell, and hopefully they do. These seem pretty all right.
Riot Vanguard.
apparently, Riot came out at some point within the last week and made a statement about Vanguard. I think we've talked about Vanguard like on every podcast for the last fucking 3 weeks because it's kind of been in the news constantly because people hate it. And apparently Riot came out and made a statement where they talked a lot of shit, just like assuring people that everything's fine and it's going to be great. And then at the end of said statement, at the end of said blog post, if you will, they basically came out and said, hey, also, Vanguard is kind of a skeleton at the moment. It basically doesn't do anything, which is why there's hackers and shit running amok. And so basically we installed this like kernel level antivirus that you all hate, and it's not actually doing anything. It's just there to just be there and run at system start. And people kind of hate that, especially because they were talking a lot of shit about the crazy stuff Vanguard's going to do. Like, oh, we have this awesome fog of war system that's going to literally make it so that wall hacks are impossible because your computer's not going to receive information about player location until you can actually see them, and like all this cool shit that they were talking about. And it turns out Vanguard's not doing any of it yet until supposedly the game launches. So basically, if you're playing Valorant, you kind of install, which I have it installed, but I haven't even turned it on yet. You have this rootkit antivirus installed that's not doing anything for you. It's just there and being mildly invasive. So I don't know how to fucking feel about that.
Next on the list is RE3 DLC confirmed in Capcom earnings report. That was the story. BioWare has only 30 people working on Anthem. Also,
Not shocking.
I love it.
Surprise.
It's so funny though, isn't it?
It's pretty funny.
BioWare has shit the bed so many times. I'm not surprised.
Like
Guys,
it's lightning round. I don't want to talk about this, but the fact that they were able to fuck up an Iron Man game in like mid-Avengers fever pitch and still don't know how to fix it and have just given up on it is so incredible.
I don't know if it's that they don't know. I don't know if it's that they don't know how to fix it, or if they just are telling us that they're gonna fix it and they intend to fix it, and maybe they have ideas, but they care so little about it as opposed to other things that they're working on that they're like, fuck it, dude, skeleton crew, 30 people, whatever you manage to do in your overhaul, that's what we got. Minimum time and effort and money spent.
True.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater, we were talking about rumors of a new game. Turns out it's a remake of 1 and 2 bundled together, and they dropped the album, and there's a lot of ska.
I'm really confused because I thought they did that already. Didn't they do like an HD remaster?
Shush, they're doing it again.
All right. Is this a remake or like another HD remaster? What is this?
I don't know. I hardly understand the difference between the terms anyway. I had a very
there's
clear,
a pretty big difference.
I had a very clear definition of the terms. Then Final Fantasy VII Remake came out and just fucked it all up. And
no, that's actually still very cut and dry. So when you have something like Resident Evil 4, right, that gets like constant new versions, like when they put it out on Steam and they're like, hey, HD textures and shit like that, but it's just the same exact fucking game. It plays exactly the same. That's a remaster. A remake is when you do RE2 remake and you fucking make a completely.
Then it is a remake because they put in technology that only came out in later installments into 1 and 2, like
nice.
Being able to what's the term when you like switch footing after you land a trick? Whatever, you can do that.
Yeah.
You never used to be able to do that in 1 and 2. Now you can. So it's a remake.
Avert? Is that called
Yes.
Avert?
Yes. Thank you.
Hell, oh my god, it's still in my brain, dude. I'm still a pro
Skating.
skater in my heart, dude.
I
I'm
bought it.
verting.
I bought a skateboard, tried to stand on it, and just ate shit immediately, and then gave up on that dream instantly.
I'm verting.
Everyone
I'm
who's
verting.
not a skateboarder does that in their life.
PlayStation Studios, aka Nintendo, Sony seal of quality. Basically, all their first parties and like direct under them games are all getting one studio logo, so that you know it's Sony first party. It's literally the Nintendo seal of quality.
Makes
what
sense.
Sony-
It's also just literally what Xbox is doing with Xbox Game Studios or whatever they're called. Like they have all the Microsoft has their big dumb like alliance of developers that they're supposedly make games for them. So it's literally just the same shit.
It's weird because Sony already had this. Remember when you would start a game and it would say Sony Computer Entertainment America presents? I guess that
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
good
true.
enough. That didn't track, I
No,
guess.
not good enough. You need
Not in your
symbols.
face
People
enough.
Don't read no more.
That's true.
You need symbols.
The Isle. Richie.
Yes, as we all know, I talk about this game frequently, and just the other night we got our week launch window for the new update coming out, which is basically the new game coming out, and that is June 14th through the 20th. I'm excited. Hashtag get wrecked. It's not a scam. So
That doesn't mean anything though.
Fucking dinosaurs.
Hold on, wait. Can I blow that up real quick? That doesn't mean it's not a scam just because you're getting one update. I'm not saying the game is a scam. I'm just
listen,
saying
you got to stop with your
Hashtag-
negative attitude.
I'm
and
not
get the
being
game.
negative. Let me
Get
be
the
super.
game. You know
No,
what?
let me be super
No.
clear. I'm not being negative. I'm just letting you know that there have been games that have been updated that still wind up being scams. That's all I'm saying. It's still possible.
If you followed the game like I would, you would understand that it is legit and it's a good game. And when cannibals
not
get
saying-
in,
I'm not
you're
saying
getting
it's
the
not.
game.
I'm not
Fucking
saying it's not legit.
dinosaurs.
That's the thing. I'm not saying it's not legit. I'm just saying games can get
That's it.
updated and then never be finished. That's all I'm saying. It's happened before.
What's the next
Negative
thing?
That's all I'm
Nancy.
saying.
The last thing is today it was announced leaks of a Daredevil video game being in the works. Sony first party, supposedly.
How
Interesting.
much like Batman it is.
Yeah, basically. I basically am just seeing a Batman game or Assassin's Creed.
I'm really
It's just so
confused.
fucking freaking blind sight basically.
It's literally they're just going to take the Spider-Man game, and Spider-Sense is going to be blind powers, and it's literally going to be just a reskin. It's going to be the same game. That's what I'm predicting.
One thing I'm kind of confused about is because I read the article. I read the whole article that you posted earlier today, like right before this podcast. Where in that article did it say that it's going to be Sony first party? Are people just assuming that because of Spider-Man? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be. The guy who's leaking it, and I'm air quoting that, is the dude who's head of Marvel Games, which is not Sony.
That's true. I could have been wrong. Fuck me.
It's just a guy. No, you're not wrong, because I think the article was also
You're
like, oh
definitely
yeah,
wrong.
dude, it's going to be Sony first party. But when I read it, I was like, but nowhere in here does it say that it's going to be Sony first party. Like it very well could be. It's just that Troy Baker tweeted some shit, and then the guy from Marvel Games was like, yeah, dude, I'm going to allude to Blind Man video.
Come together with your hands.
There's already a very good joke going around where it's going to have VR support, and when you turn on your headset, it's just nothing. It's just.
I don't doubt that it will be Sony first party though. I'm just saying that I find it
I thought you
interesting
were
that
going to
everyone's.
say there's no doubt that when you put it on your VR, it's going to be nothing.
Yep. He's blind, folks. In case you weren't aware.
I guess the reason why people are saying it's going to be
Daredevil, not
PlayStation
bad.
exclusive is because there's been previous leaks about this that mentioned that it would be PlayStation exclusive. I guess that's why people are saying this, and like they're taking this as confirmation from what I can tell. So I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be if the day comes where it's like we see a trailer for this and it says Insomniac on it, then clearly it's a fucking PlayStation exclusive.
Yep. And that's the news. We did it. We had another successful podcast.
That's literally everything. We have no end cap, big stories that we missed.
Oh, I mean,
We rocked it.
yeah, we rocked it, bro.
All right.
Wow.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Wow,
The
dude.
end cap is that he's blind and Ben Affleck confirmed.
There better be a Ben Affleck skin in that game.
Troy Breaker's talking shit. It's Ben Affleck all the way.
I hate all of you. Why are you listening to this podcast? You're all
You have
Like-
a wonderful night.
Like, comment, subscribe for your misanthropic fetishism. Goodbye.
all trash.